Welcome back, TCG Addicts. Welcome to the second video of our three-part series. Before we get into this video of our three-part series, if you are new, please hit that like button down below, subscribe, turn those notifications on, and leave a comment down below. Now, this is, like I said, the second video of this three-part series. This is a three-part series on Jiren, so if you guys did not see the first video, go ahead and check that out in the video library earlier. And the previous one was Mono Yellow Jiren. Today, though, is the second Jiren deck that I have built. This one is going to focus solely on the red version of Jiren, so it's going to be a red-yellow deck. And before we really get into it, I want to apologize ahead of time. Next week, we'll not be finishing up the three-part series as I am personally moving. We will have another video next week. It will be from one of the other team members of TCG Addicts, and they will post it. And then after that week, we'll go ahead and get back and finish up the three-part Jiren series with the successor Jiren. But this week, let's go ahead and get into this Jiren being red-yellow. Now, I'm not really... if you guys haven't seen the new Jiren from the Set 9 Jiren leader, I'm sorry. I'm not going to get into the Jiren leader. I have explained this guy multiple times now. He is just very powerful. He's going to be the leader for all three decks. He's just too useful. His activate battle on his awakened side of taking a life, you're not taking any more damage for the duration of the turn, is just too good to pass up. His front auto, ultimately dropping the 10 drop if you can get 8 guys out before you awaken, and that 10 drop becomes a 2 drop. He's now free with Jiren. It's just hard to pass him up. He's just too broken, too good, too useful in the meta right now. It's so useful. The only deck that I know of that can get around, or there's 2 decks, excuse me, that get around Jiren. That's Invoker and Burn Yamcha. The only reason is because they don't do battle damage. They do other damage to take away your opponent's life. Other than that, though, this guy is just one of those cards it's going to basically landlock and freeze everybody else. Peel off swinging 30 times, Veject swinging 2 or 3, 4, 5, 6 times in a turn. Jiren's just going to look and be like, alright, cool, activate battle. We're done. Good game. Let me pop out my 12 drop or my 10 drop and we'll call it a day. So, we're not going to go too much further in depth. This is Jiren. That's going to be the leader card. Let's go ahead and just dive right into the deck. We're going to do exactly what we always do. We're going to start with counterattacks, negates, counterplays, and then move into the support of the deck, finally ending up with the big powerhouses. So let's go ahead and start. You will notice this deck is going to run a little lighter on counterattacks than my mono yellow from the previous video, with 3 light bullets and 4 concoct zones. Concoct zone being the one that can tap down an opponent's battle card, light bullet being basically Flying Nimbus. I'll tell you right now, light bullet, Flying Nimbus, interchangeable as you want. It depends on how you want to play it. Do you want to play it where you have battle cards on the field, or do you want to play it to where I can pitch something from my hand? It honestly depends on who you're playing. If you're playing somebody that's going to board wipe you and control your board state, you might want to swap light bullet out for Flying Nimbus. If you're going to sideboard those Flying Nimbus. That's ultimately what's going to happen. That's what's going to help you out, is that Flying Nimbus right there for anybody who's going to board wipe you. Light bullet, pretty much going to help you anywhere else. Concoct zone, that's going to sit there and help you out against board control. It's going to control your board state a little bit. It's not going to deal with barrier, but it's still going to be able to at least lock down certain cards. That's it, guys. 7 counterattacks in this deck. If you look at the previous mono yellow deck, you will notice it's a significant drop in counterattacks, counterplays. This deck doesn't rely on counterattacks, counterplays. It's there for a defensive purpose, but ultimately this is a red-yellow deck. It's going to be a little more aggro. Alright, let's go ahead and move into the support. Let's go ahead and do your red-yellow energy. It's going to be Whis the Spectator. Your combos, your super combos are going to be Whis, Celestial Moderator. Board control all day long. Can't get much better than that. Your multicolored energy that's going to come in untapped. Really can't get too much more in depth than that. Board control, energy base. So those are your supports. Here's going to be the next support card, which is going to be kind of a blast from the past, back from mono yellow. 4 of your 2 drop yellow Zorays from TB1. The reason he's in here is, again, that defensive wall. If you have another Universe 11 in play, you play him. He's not going to die from the first battle. So ultimately, you activate his blocker, he's not going to die from first battle. This gets around Burn Yamcha, because Burn Yamcha has to kill battle cards. Hero combination Zorre, if you have another Universe 11, is going to sit there, look at him, and be like, that's nice. I don't die. You have to hit him twice, at least. If not more, if you have more Zorres. Run 4, you'll deal with Burn Yamcha pretty easily. So that counters that meta. Same concept with Pilaf and any of these other guys that are swinging a bunch of times. That Zorre is just going to sit there and be like, that's cool, bro. We're going to keep going. Alright. And speaking of keep going, let's go ahead. We're going to move into the first of the red cards, being Jiren, Shackles of the Past. Barrier. A lot of cards, a lot of the counter plays like to come in for free. Some of them don't get around Barrier. This is going to be one of those cards that's like, nope, it's fine. Permanent, you're only going to play one of these in the battle area. So it's going to be a lot like some of your other cards you've seen where, like Kaioken Son Goku, where you're only going to see one, and it's only going to be out there for that once. But for this one is if you have 10 or more battle cards in your drop area with 10,000 power at the start of your main phase, for the duration of the turn, this card gets plus 25k, double strike, dual attack, and your opponents can't activate counter skills unless they place 2 cards in their drop area as an additional cost. So ultimately this guy's going to be like, alright, I have 10 20k, or I have 10 battle cards in my drop area with 10k power, which it's not going to be hard to do with this particular deck. You'll get 10k power, guys, in there pretty easily. I mean, your super combos already, that's 4 of them. And for him, it's going to be, alright, I got 10 of those. You need Universe 11s in your drop area anyways for your big 12 drop. So ultimately, it's like, alright, cool. I'm going to get 10 in there. I'm going to give him double strike, dual attack, swing. They negate 1, cool. Hand control, pitch 2. I'm going to swing again. 30k, double strike. So you can't get much better than that, and he's a 1-drop. I mean, it's not hard to get 10 battle cards in your drop area with 10,000 power. Even if you're playing against somebody like Greenza, who's going to be hand control, that's fine. You have no issues with them giving you hand control, because ultimately that opens you up to all of your deck going into your drop area with 10k power. And you can just constantly put them in. No issues whatsoever. So that's the Jiren. Let's go ahead and move on to the next red, which is Pride Collective Ketal. Again, a 4 of. Auto. Play this card, draw a card. And if your leader card is red and you send this... So, really, it's not for... Excuse me. So, he's really, for me, I don't really run him for his activate main because, honestly, you need a red leader card. Jiren's not red, he's yellow. So, I'm not too worried about the activate main, but he is a 1-drop, draw 1 card. More cards in hand, more defense you can get, or more offensive you can get. So, this is just your draw power, something simple, something easy to get out. And again, it's another Universe 11 that can ultimately get back into the drop area, dropping that 12 drop to a 6 drop, and getting your big quad striker out. Alright, next 1 drop is going to be Kunchi, the Threaded Manipulation. Again, another 1 drop. Play this card, draw a card, choose one of your opponent's battle cards, give it negative 4k. So a little bit of board control, at least it's going to be something along the lines of dropping a blocker down a little bit. Or even in, say, Green's case, you're going to drop down that Dodoria. You're going to drop them 4k, get them down to where they can KO them. Or say even you can drop somebody who's like those oddball ones, like in Vejex, you have the Black Mass Saiyan that's going to sit there like 14k. You can drop it down to 9k and then negative 10k with the Whis. That's ultimately what you're trying to do with this 1 drop. And again, on top of that, the 1 drop, you get to draw a card. You can't get much better draw power in any deck in the DBS world. The better your hand, the bigger your hand, the better hand advantage you have, ultimately is the better place you want to be in. And again, guys, we are just going over support for the deck right now. And mostly for red-yellow, I noticed for Jiren, it is a very supportive deck. I will not tell you probably this Jiren deck will probably win you a regionals. I'm not going to sit there and tell you that. The Jiren series is ultimately to show you guys that there's multiple ways to build Jiren, and on top of that, a fun and very much budget deck that you can take to locals and have some fun with, or even potentially top. I'm not going to say top because I haven't tested these decks in top at locals events or even in regionals. The only one I could almost guarantee would top it is going to be Mono Yellow Jiren, because that is one I have topped in locals. But we won't go, I'm not going to sit here and tell you the red yellows or the successor Jiren is going to be like amazing, because honestly that's just how you play. It depends on you, depends on who you play, and depends on the meta you're playing. If you're going to play Greenza, it may hurt. If you play Vejex, it may hurt, because it's going to take you a little longer to build versus them, where they're coming out, turn 2, turn 3, and you're waiting until turn 6 to bring out your big boys while the rest of your deck support and defense. So it's ultimately up to you how you play the deck. Alright, next support, Pride Collective Zorre, my 1 red drop Zorre. Get a blocker, and when this is removed by a skill, you draw a card. So ultimately, again, that Greenza, it's ultimately for that Greenza deck. It's going to use a skill, it's going to pop something, even Vejex sometimes, or any of the other decks that are out there that's going to board control you, Brolys, even Invokers, where they're just going to remove cards via skills. This guy's going to let you draw a card, and it's a 4K blocker. Something simple to get out, very defensive again, and support. Next support, Pride Collective Kakat. My apologies if I am saying that name wrong. I haven't been corrected yet, but I could be saying this name wrong, very much so, and I do apologize for that. But ultimately what this guy's going to do is it's going to let you play your 1-drops for free, negating the skills for the duration of the turn, but you're going to get your 1-drops, any of your support cards you need, as long as they don't have like 1-play abilities. So something like the next one, which is Kunchi, which I think ultimately is where I normally go, is I use Concoct to get out Kunchi if I haven't got Kunchi turn 1, and I, for some odd reason, can't get Zorre out. I pull out my Kunchi, it gives all my Universe 11s with 2 or less barrier. So yeah, I can negate the skill for the turn. Once I pass that turn, his permanent's going to immediately reactivate. All my Universe 11s now have barrier. Not going to worry about it. So ultimately this is to pop out Kunchi if you cannot get that out by turn 1, and you don't have a Zorre for turn 2 play. Alright, next we're going to go into the Jirens, basically. So it's going to be 3 3-drop Jiren Righteous Leader, and 3 3-drop Secret Vitality Jirens. Ultimately, these guys are getting those Zorres back into hand, back into play from your drop area. When someone ultimately does finally pop that Zorre, you need to get that back, cycle that back in the deck, cycle that back in your hand, so that you can replay it. So ultimately, that's what you're trying to do. Get those Zorres back, play them, get your wall back up, and make sure that you're going to be defensible. And that's where these Jirens are going to sit. They're going to sit there and ultimately cycle out what you need and cycle in what you need back into your hand from your drop, from your deck, wherever you need to cycle it from. Ooh, and let's throw cards around. Alright, next support. We're going to do 3 of the 2-drop binary Blade Rehearsals, which if your leader is Universe 11, when you play this card, or it's placed in the drop area from battle area by skill, you choose Universe 11 with energy from cost of 1 in your deck, play with its skills negated for the turn, then shuffle your deck. Again, very simple support card, trying to get those 1-drops out, and just trying to get them out there to ultimately get, like, say, blockers of Zorre's out, get that Kunchi out to get barrier, just trying to support your deck so that ultimately you can get to the big hitters. Alright, so those are the support cards. It's not like one of those decks where it's going to just shock and awe you the entire time. It's very much a support deck that's going to sit there and build its defense, build, until ultimately it's going to come in with some of the hitters. The first hitter being Jiren the All-Seeing, 4-drop red. Double strike, auto, once per turn. When your opponent plays a battle card, you choose one of your opponent's battle cards and give it negative 10k. So if your opponent likes to play battle cards, cool, so like peel off. Alright, I'm going to give that negative 10k, auto, once per turn. You played that card, negative 10k it. And then auto, when your opponent card's attacks, you may choose that card and it gets negative 10k for the turn. So that's not an auto once per turn, guys. That secondary auto is not once per turn. So say peel off, who likes to swing a lot, or Vejex, who likes to swing a lot. Negative 10, negative 10, negative 10, negative 10. And he's a 20k double striker. Very much board control, something that can help you against Greenza, against Vejex, even Invoker. The only reason I'd say not as much Invoker is ultimately that they're not swinging that often, and as well as their stuff has barrier, which really is they're only playing the Vegetas. But stuff like Vegex, even some of the newer stuff that's coming out in set 11, I noticed not a lot of them have barrier. Cool, I'm going to neg it all day long. Every time you play a card, a battle card, I'm going to go ahead and neg that stuff 10k. Every time you swing, I'm going to neg your stuff 10k. So good board control for a 4-drop. Your next hitter is going to be 2 of, which is Jiren, Fist of Justice. Another 4-drop. This card can attack battle cards in active mode. And when this card attacks a battle card, switch this card to active and it gets plus 10k power for the turn. So it's going to be a 20k double strike. You swing at a battle card. You'll untap it. It'll get 30k, and then you swing at leader for double strike. Not a bad turnaround. Again, one of those big hitters. And if you have Jiren all seeing out, I'm going to neg your stuff 10k. Constantly bring them down even when you swing. Then I'm going to come back, drop my 4-drop, and really start hammering away. And then the final big boy of the deck, the 12-drop Jirens that reduce their energy cost. When you have 9 or more, Universe 11 in your drop area reduces his energy cost by 6. So he is a 6-drop because you have to pay his 6 yellow to play him. Quad Striker has Deflect, and when this card attacks, your opponent can't activate Counter or Blocker. So ultimately, they're going to have to combo above you. And with all your 1-drops, all your simple guys, all your support, you're going to be able to combo this guy up, get him really big, really fast. If you want to do an SCR, you can throw Baby Janemba in here, neg their leader 30k, neg their leader 30k, pop out your 12-drop, and call it a day. That's ultimately where I've gone. I've used Baby Janemba to drop them 30k, get them to negative 15,000, and then start swinging with a 40k. Which you're not going to counter, you're not going to activate blocker. Have a good day. You can activate battle all you want. I'm going to deal with you really quick, and it's a quad strike. So ultimately, if you also think about it, when you swing at a unison card, you can't counter, can't activate blocker. Awesome. They have no defensive step. I just hit any of your unisons for 4. How many unisons do you guys honestly know that go to 4 and stay there? I'm hitting you 4 times. So this guy's going to deal with unisons. So Greenza's, Vegex, any of those guys out there, Mono Blue Vegetos, even the Jirens themselves, this is going to deal with because it's a quad strike. It's going to hit hard, it's going to hit fast, and it's going to do just so much damage, and it's going to ultimately get their unison off the board, or it's going to make them pressure into their leader card. Guys, that is it. That is really all Jiren needs. That is Jiren's red-yellow in a nutshell. Now, you can tweak this to make it a little more aggro, because, again, it is red-yellow. I mean, you can make it aggro all you want. You could throw in those Arrival Beerus. You could throw in any Arrival cards that run red-yellow. It's really a good deck just to tweak if you want. You can easily tweak out those support cards and bring in some bigger hitters, or bring in some more others that you know are a little more supporting, a little more defensive, or a little more aggro. It depends on how you want to play it. This is how I play it, and this is what honestly works for me as a red-yellow player if I'm not running super high aggro that's trying to get out like turn 2, turn 3, Heartfelt Plea. And again, you're looking at even the same concept of any red-yellow aggro deck. You can run into the Heartfelt Plea chain, you can run into the Beerus Arrival chain, you can run into a lot of things where it's just like, alright, cool, here we go. And that's where you go from there. But that is Jiren red-yellow, guys. And that's ultimately all that I got for you for this one. If you saw anything you didn't like, or that you wanted to change, or that you might add to it, go ahead and leave that in the comments down below. If you guys just are new, or if you guys enjoyed this video, leave that like, comment, subscribe, turn those notifications on. And we will see you next week with a new video. Again, it's not going to be Jiren set 3. It's not going to be the deck 3 yet. It will be a different deck profile, but I promise you the week after you will get Jiren deck 3, and we will go from there. Until next time, though, guys, stay safe. Keep being addicted to DBS and TCG games, guys.